Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out World War III Operation Paul Bunyan by the Fat Electrician. Yes guys, I'm going to say right off the bat now, I know nothing about Operation Paul Bunyan. I have not heard anything about this operation at all in my life, so I have no idea what we're going to be dealing with here. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one context wise, because I'll be completely honest, I have never heard of it at all. World War III, obviously Tree is kind of like radio speak, if you will, for three, right? It's a little bit easier to hear on the means kind of thing. So World War III, and no racial, looking at the thumbnail, of course, but no racial. There's definitely a picture of a North Korean on the thumbnail. So that kind of piqued my interest a little bit here. You know, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear about the regime whenever I get the opportunity to, of course. So you know, I think this is going to be an interesting video. Of course, if you guys enjoy, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Make sure you go check out the Fat Electrician's video here if you haven't already. You know, he makes fantastic content. I know a lot of you guys are finding the channel for the first time due to me checking out his content. So yeah, no, thank you guys for sticking around. I appreciate that a lot. I got a lot of American viewers that are on the channel now, so that's awesome to see. And yeah, hopefully we learned something new today. So yeah, if you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe for more content, leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, of course Dagenhart and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And with that, guys, so we get right into this video. Let me make sure the captions are on, our quality is good, we are full screen. Without any further delay, let's get it.
Yes, that time that North Korea told America that we couldn't trim a tree, and America was legitimately ready to start World War III about it. World
Over
War
a tree,
if you will.
I see. Oh, really?
Today we're talking about
what
the Korean mass murder incident and America's response to that incident, Operation Paul Bunyan. But first, this video is brought to you by the two biggest sponsors of the channel. We've got Zydax custom gaming PCs, computers built right here in America with American-made tech support, and they have a lifetime warranty. They can build you anything you want to any spec you want, but also they have some that are
gonna say Zydax. Actually, it's a decent brand. I've checked out their products before. Pretty decent stuff for what it is. Not too overpriced either. For getting a pre-built PC, actually pretty fairly priced as far as American prices go. For me in Canada, they're a little bit more expensive, just because Canadian prices, right? But you know, if you don't know how to build your own PC, I definitely recommend Zydax as a company. Go for them. Yeah,
have a lifetime warranty. They can build you anything you want to any spec you want, but also they have some that are already pre-built and ready to ship. And then of course my favorite sporting goods store, Shields. They've got over 30 amazing retail locations all across the United States. I'm not just saying that because they're giving me money. It's legitimately the best sporting goods store I've ever set foot in.
Just a US store. I don't know nothing about that. Unfortunately, I can't speak to their quality.
Price matching and satisfaction guaranteed. I'm gonna have links and discount codes for both those sponsors in the description down below and on my website, thefatelectrician.com. Let's get back to the video. All right, once upon a time, July 1953, North and South Korean leadership would meet in a small village known as Punjong, right near the 38th parallel, where they would sign an armistice that would technically only pause, but essentially end the Korean War. From this moment forward, we have the official military demarcation line, essentially the line in the sand separating North and South Korea. Surrounding that demarcation line is a 2.5 mile wide, 160 mile long buffer zone known as the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone. And that's pretty much it. The Iron Curtain goes up. North Korea becomes the world's largest secret society.
Very interesting. This is taking place like right at the end of the Korean War. I want to say, like, in America, how much, like I guess in high school and stuff, how often do you guys get taught about the Korean War? Is it brought up a lot? Because I will say here in Canada, we get a stunningly little amount of knowledge given to us about the Korean War. You're basically told World War I, World War II. Depending on your teacher, you might be told of the Korean War. I had to go out of my way to learn about the Korean War. And it's a massive war. You know, Canada sent a lot of troops. America sent a lot of troops. A lot of people passed there. A lot of people fought there. And it was a massive war. And you know, we basically just don't hear much about it at all. And I really don't know why. I definitely feel like it deserves a little bit more how you say, a little bit more spotlight, I guess, because man, like we did a lot over there, you know, as a united force, as the West combined, we did a lot over there. And I feel like just not educating people about it, why there's literally two different Koreas nowadays. I feel like it's a mistake. I feel like we should definitely learn about it more. What do I know though?
mile wide, 160 mile long buffer zone known as the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone. And that's pretty much it. The Iron Curtain goes up, North Korea becomes the world's largest secret society, and the entire world gets to stand by and watch as there is a competition between capitalism and communism to see which one is actually better. And well, 70 years later, the results are visible from outer space.
Literally. I was gonna say, I've literally
better, and well,
this picture.
70 years later, the results are visible from outer space.
I've seen this picture before, and yeah, that's actually such an apt like statement. Which one's better, communism or capitalism? Man, communism has killed so many of its own people. You know, I don't see why anybody would ever staunchly advocate for communism, you know, and the only people doing so are people that live in capitalist societies. Anyone that you've seen that, or anyone that I personally met that has fled a capitalist, or not a capitalist, fled a communist society, you know, they fucking hate communism. They don't want anything to do with it. They're angry at it, you know. It ruined their life largely, for the most part, you know. Some people like the structure of it, and we do definitely see that. But the average person that I've talked to that has come from, you know, an Eastern sort of country, they have nothing good to say about it. That's my experience with it. Canada, we're a lot more socialist than the US, is what I will say. Me personally, you know, I can see some ups and downs with some parts of socialism, but you know, I largely don't agree with socialism en masse. That's just my personal opinion on it. But obviously between like the US and Canada, you know, we do share a lot of political differences that way, a lot of cultural differences that way. So, no, just interesting to see. But yeah, full-blown communism is a complete fucking failure, and I don't know why people ever would advocate for it. Just saying. Like, read a fucking history book. Google it, for fuck's sakes. You can Google it now. You don't even have to really read, you know? I don't know.
Space. Wait, let me guess. You're going to say that's not real communism. Well, I'll tell you what. Every time anything bad happens under capitalism, I'm just going to respond by saying, oh, well, that's not real capitalism. How about that?
Makes
that's
sense.
what I thought. Anyways, that village where
Sure.
the treaty was signed would go on to become the JSA, or the Joint Security Area, and in theory, this was supposed to be the only point where North and South Korean forces could intermingle. The North Koreans could pass the armistice line into South Korea, and vice versa, provided everybody stayed within the confines of this particular village. Obviously, the point of having a place like this was so that everybody could have a place to exchange prisoners, have peace talks, what have you, but naturally, the intermingling of North Korean and UN forces over the course of time would lead to a bunch of fights breaking out. Luckily, they foresaw this coming, and there was very strict rules about having firearms inside of the JSA, and generally speaking, nobody really ever had them on them. Despite that, there was so many skirmishes so often that the UN would try to get North Korea to agree that they should still abide by the demarcation line. North Koreans stay on their half of the JSA, and South Korean and UN forces stay on their half of the JSA. North Korea consistently refused. And that's all the background info you need. So, fast forward, August 6, 1976. Inside the JSA, there's a bridge. That bridge is called the Bridge of No Return because once you cross that bridge, you not only cross the military demarcation line, but you also cross the border to the JSA, meaning that you are now inside of North Korea, hence the name, the Bridge of No Return. As you can see here on the JSA side of the bridge, there is military checkpoint 3. As I'm sure you can imagine, that's very important because, well, if the North Koreans are going to attack, they're probably going to incorporate that bridge somehow. They've got a military observation post right there. If the North Koreans are coming, they're going to send off the warning. Next thing you know, all of America knows that you're here. Now all of the UN knows that you're here.
I will say, kind of crazy that, you know, obviously what we see from the North Koreans is constant pushing of boundaries, I think, at this point, right? And that just kind of comes down to their ideology at this point, I feel like. You know, at this point, what is it? Kim Il-sung, I think is his name, revered as like the god emperor, fucking, you know, born, and suddenly a rainbow appeared, the whole fucking 9-yard story, you know. It's indoctrination. A lot of these communist societies, you see utter indoctrination in a certain belief, in a certain person. And these communist societies are always so fucking warlike for some reason, you know, for being for the people, by the people kind of thing, at least what they espouse in the best way possible, right? You know, how come 90% of your fucking budget goes to the military and your people seem to starve? I don't know. It just seems a little bit weird to me. Everyone's the same with how poor they are, you know? I don't know, just crazy to me. The fact that they're going to keep poking the bear here, pushing boundaries, right? Instigating fights, and that's what it is. It is about instigation. You see that a lot with China too. A lot of instigation. tactics being used, especially with like on the Philippines and stuff like that on their naval vessels, from what I've seen. Yeah, it's brutal, you know, because they're trying to just poke the bear. They're trying to see what they can get away with. That's what it is.
Now all of the UN knows that you're here.
Hmm.
All right, but the problem is right next to checkpoint 3, there's a big ass 100-foot high poplar tree, and that tree is blocking the vision from all the other checkpoints from being able to see checkpoint 3, meaning that in theory, the North Koreans could invade, take out checkpoint 3, build up a big enemy force while using this tree as cover, and then take out the rest of the JSA. So this tree is a security issue. We got to get rid of it. Okay, so this is not a big deal whatsoever. That tree is inside the JSA. It's on the South Korean side, so it's technically in South Korea. So they send out some South Korean soldiers with some axes. They're going to go chop down this tree. That's going to be the end of it. No big deal whatsoever. Then the North Koreans show up being dicks, and they're like, no, you're not allowed to cut this tree down because we said so. That's why. And the South Koreans are like, what? Okay, well, I'm going to go get the Americans, and then we're going to come back, and then we're all going to cut down the tree together. Bye. All right, fast forward a couple weeks, August 18th, 1976. This time, a 15-man working party comprised of Americans and South Koreans.
So this is in the 70s too, right?
And once again, the North Koreans show up almost immediately. This time, there's 11 of them, and they are being led by an officer nicknamed the Bulldog because he is well known and has a reputation for starting shit inside the JSA and instigating a bunch of fights. He then proceeds to tell the Americans that they have to stop trimming that tree because that particular poplar tree was planted by none other than Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. To which the Americans, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but they were like, oh really, did he? He planted this tree? Kim Il-sung, the same guy that you guys think invented the hamburger and the burrito, and the first time he ever golfed, he golfed a 38 under par with 11 hole-in-ones. Literally. And his body's so efficient that he doesn't have to use the bathroom because he doesn't generate waste. That guy, he planted this tree. I don't give a shit. So they turned around and kept cutting down this tree. So at this point, Officer Bulldog sends a runner across the bridge of no return into North Korea. A couple minutes later, 2 trucks show up with 30 more North Korean soldiers, and they all get out with clubs. At this point, Officer Bulldog tells the working party again, stop cutting down the tree or else. And the working party, under the impression they're not actually going to do anything, ignores them and just keeps cutting down the tree, at which point Officer Bulldog famously takes off his watch, wraps it in a handkerchief, sets it down, and yells, "Chukyo," meaning kill in North Korean, at which point all of the soldiers attacked the members of the working party. Every member of the working party was injured, and 2 Americans were killed. Shit has officially hit the fan. The entire U.S. military is...
Really? So, I'm surprised this happened and there wasn't war again, to be completely honest with you. I'm actually fucking shocked. Wow, I did not expect. So they arrived with clubs and beat them to death, injured everybody, beat those 2 Americans to death. Especially after the order kill is given, right? Yeah, this is fucking crazy. I imagine China was there probably to intervene on side of North Korea, which is probably why I'm assuming the Americans probably had to de-escalate the situation. But I'm shocked that this was not like war at the time on the DMZ. Like this that's kind of shocking to me, to be completely honest.
Injured and 2 Americans were killed. Shit has officially hit the fan.
Like you're talking about deaths on the DMZ.
Is put on
That's insane.
DEFCON 3, which is the highest level of readiness that the military
I've never heard of this
without actually being at war. The president and
again, this is fucking crazy. DEFCON 3, I've never heard of this incident before. This is fucking nuts. Like I had no idea. Wow. Like this was a fucking very big deal, very clearly, and it escalated very, very quickly too. No idea.
The highest level of readiness that the military can go to without actually being at war. The president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff are dragged into the bunker underneath the White House to begin getting briefed by the CIA, and North Korea is shitting its pants because a couple of their guys just may have kicked off World War III. Within 4 hours, the North Koreans issue a public statement trying to pin the entire thing on America, saying the Americans that were there instigated the entire thing, and it's their fault. Then North Korean leadership goes before the Non-Aligned Nations Committee, which for the purposes of this story, just think of it as like not NATO, here's the non-aligned nations. You get the idea. They then try to pass a resolution that says they should all condemn America for our violent actions, and America needs to leave the Korean Peninsula altogether. And somehow this passes. At which point America basically looks over and says, that's nice that you guys passed a little rule. Go ahead and try to enforce it. I dare you.
Whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down an ungodly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you.
This is a great scene.
Meanwhile, inside the
I fucking love that scene. That's a great fucking scene there. But Yeah, wow, I can't believe the non-aligned nations fucking union, whatever that's called. Surprise, surprise, that they want to shit on America, that they want to lessen America's power, right? Just looking at that map, I just want to go back and see if I can kind of find it here. If that's possible. I don't know if it's... I don't know where it was, but basically, if you look at the map of that fucking... of the non-aligned nations, that shit was like... basically entirely fucking like, you know, countries that have fought America or have had a disagreement with America at some point. So not a fucking shock to me at all. This is a great scene.
You're gonna have to call the fucking United Nations. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up.
Meanwhile, inside the president's bunker, all kinds of crazy ideas are getting thrown around, some of which include bombarding the entire DMZ with artillery fire, using Navy SEALs and precision-guided munitions to take out the North Korean barracks inside of the JSA, essentially killing all the North Koreans that had anything to do with this, destroying the Bridge of No Return, and my personal favorite, just dropping a nuclear bomb off the coast of North Korea just to prove a point. At this point, the president chimes in and he's like, no, this has to be an appropriate response. We don't want to overkill this situation and kick off World War III. So that begs the question, what is an appropriate response to the president? Well, that depends on the president, and the president at this particular time was none other than Gerald Ford. You see, that's absolutely terrifying, and most of you have no idea why, because Gerald Ford doesn't have much brand recognition in modern times, so let me fill you in. Gerald Ford played college...
No, see, again, like, I don't know really a whole lot about American presidents. I could tell you, obviously, like, the big ones and stuff, but I'm surprised I have not heard of this incident. Like, this incident isn't just, like, common knowledge. Like, World War III almost started over a tree, you know what I mean? Like, I'm shocked. I had no idea. And Gerald Ford here, I've heard his name, but I could not tell you, like, unfortunately, what he did as president or anything like that. You know, I've heard his name. I could tell you, yeah, this guy was a president, but that's all I could really say, unfortunately, as a Canadian, you know?
Gerald Ford doesn't have much brand recognition in modern times, so let me fill you in. Gerald Ford played college football at the University of Michigan and had offers to go to the NFL from the Lions and the Green Bay Packers, and turned both of them down because he wanted to be a boxing coach at Yale before he went into law school to become a politician. Somewhere along the way, this guy becomes friends with Richard Nixon. Fast forward, he's ready to retire. His friend Richard Nixon is the president of the United States, and Richard Nixon's vice president, Spiro Agnew, gets accused of taking bribes and has to step down as vice president. At which point, Nixon calls up his old buddy and is like, hey, will you fill in?
Didn't they pardon each other?
So Gerald Ford, not wanting to let down his buddy, is like, sure, absolutely, I'll come be the vice president. So he serves as VP for a little bit, and then Watergate happens, Richard Nixon gets impeached, and Gerald Ford becomes the 38th president of the United States and the only president in American history that was never elected as VP or the president. And the first thing he does as president is he gives a presidential pardon to his buddy Richard Nixon, who just got impeached, so he can't go to prison. And this pisses off absolutely everybody. Left, right, middle, doesn't matter. Everybody is furious with Gerald Ford over this. There is a 0% chance that he is ever going to get reelected.
So he never actually got elected. That's kind of crazy. I had no idea. Very, very interesting. Wow, I didn't even know that could be a thing in America. Wow.
Is furious with Gerald Ford over this. There is a 0% chance that he is ever going to get reelected right out of the gate. All right, so just so we're on the same page, President Gerald Ford, your traditional football playing, boxing, manly man that didn't want the job as president in the first place and has zero hopes of ever getting reelected, as well as having a history of being willing to sacrifice his personal image and the future of his career just to help out the homies. And we're going to find out what this man deems as an appropriate response. But one thing's for certain, and it is that poplar tree is absolutely coming down. Fast forward 3 days later, August 21st, 7 a.m.
I like how that's awesome. That's the constant here. He's like, oh yeah, that fucking tree, we're still cutting that down. You have to cut that fucking tree down now to prove a point, right? Like, that tree will be fucking removed. I don't care how, right? We'll fucking firebomb it if we have to. It doesn't matter. That tree will get fucking removed. One way or another at this point. It's too late for anything else.
tree is absolutely coming down. Fast forward 3 days later, August 21st, 7 a.m., a bunch of American and South Korean vehicles roll into the JSA, and Operation Paul Bunyan would officially begin. Inside of those vehicles, there is a 16-man tree trimming crew, and they are being escorted by 2 platoons of American grunts, roughly 60 guys, all carrying axe handles and pistols, ready to teach the North Koreans a lesson if they decide they want to try to stop them again. Now, is there supposed to be 60 guys in the JSA carrying firearms? No, but they're just carrying pistols. It's the smallest gun Uncle Sam has to offer because America is trying very, very hard to be appropriate. Also, they brought a tank, which as you can see is basically a really small tank with a snowplow on the front and an enormous gun.
Interesting. I was gonna say that it looks almost like a, I don't know, what would you call that? It looks almost like a Scott, but with like a fucking bulldog platform almost. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm guessing that is a bulldog, like a bulldog chassis. I don't know what that turret is. That looks like a little stubber, like howitzer, like kind of mini howitzer turret. Definitely probably very useful. I like the fucking dozer blades on it too. That looks pretty mean, I won't lie.
Really small tank with a snowplow on the front and an enormous gun.
Somebody let me know what the actual tank that is, because I don't know.
It's average, okay?
That's pretty pathetic.
Okay, even if it is a little bit on the smaller side of average.
It's a chubber, but I mean, it's a, you know, it's an
and if that
infantry
wasn't
gun.
enough, they're
That's what it's
also
meant
being
to do.
backed up by 64 Black Berets, the South Korean Special Forces guys, one of which would actually go on to be the president of South Korea, Moon Jae-in. Okay, here's the deal with the Black Berets.
Really?
As a minimum requirement, every single one of them has to be a black belt in Taekwondo, and I know what you're thinking. My nephew got a black belt in Taekwondo from the YMCA when he was like 13 years old. Big deal.
This is real Taekwondo, right? Like, it's the same thing with like Kung Fu, karate, all these martial arts. You'll get instructors that are willing to give like fucking blues and browns and blacks to like 13 and 14-year-olds. And some kids are very, very gifted, but a lot of them also are just getting it to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you've done it for a year. Here you go. Here's your next belt. Dependent or disregarding like their actual skill level in the sport itself or in the activity itself. You know, that's one of the things I appreciate about my Sifu when I did Kung Fu, for example, right? It was the case of like, you only kind of got it after you proved the knowledge, right? So if it took you, you know, 3 years to get your orange, it took you 3 years to get your orange. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it took you, right? If it took you 2 years to get your yellow, I mean, that's uncommon, right? But fuck it, you know, you got to prove you can do it, right? That's what it's about, right? Now, for kids, there was a little bit more leniency there, of course, but still, they had to do the knowledge test. They still had to prove they could do it. So, you know, you would get 10 and 12-year-olds who are oranges, but you would never get a 12-year-old that's a fucking brown belt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would never see that because it's so much knowledge, there's so many forms to learn, kind of thing. So when I hear black belt in Taekwondo for a Korean special forces, it's real shit. Like, this is traditional fucking, you know, skill grinding Taekwondo. Like, this is the real shit.
Nephew got a black belt in Taekwondo from the YMCA when he was like 13 years old.
It's not the
Big
same
deal. Okay, I realize it's the same word. Trust me,
it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. Kick the shit out of your nephew.
It's not. Absolutely not. And Taekwondo.
And the best part of all is the Taekwondo is not even going to come into play because as all the vehicles pull up, the 16-man...
Taekwondo, if I recall, right? Taekwondo is mostly kicking, if I recall, right? It's mostly using the strength of your legs to your advantage, right? I was largely a kickboxer. I did practice in Kung Fu and I did practice in MMA to some degree. A little bit of jiu-jitsu as well, but I wasn't fucking very great at my ground game. You know, but... yeah, no, it's Taekwondo is fucking insane. I think I had a buddy that was doing it at one point, and the absolute fucking power you can see from your legs when these guys get good enough, it's crazy shit.
Part of all is the Taekwondo is not even going to come into play because as all the vehicles pull up, the 16-man tree trimming crew runs out. They start cutting down the tree. The Americans get out with their pistols and their axe handles. The South Koreans pull up. They get out and they start unstrapping something from the bottom of their vehicles. Against the orders of their president, they had all snuck in M16s, grenade launchers, crew-served weapons, anti-tank weapons, and some of them even had claymores strapped to their chest. The South Korean Special Forces has officially come to party. At this point, they're looking over at the Americans like, really? You guys brought axe handles and pistols. What are you doing? Playing fucking Jenga? At this point, the Americans are like, hey, I appreciate the effort. You guys are awesome. That's great. But here's the deal. The only thing better than breaking the rules and getting away with it is not having to break the rules and still getting away with it. AKA, you just got to find that loophole and make them make new rules later because they didn't know that was an option. You see, they told us we can't have guns in the JSA. They didn't say anything about above the JSA. Because circling overhead, there is 20 Huey.
I fucking love that. That's so fucking funny. So like the Americans are actually going to abide. Okay, fine. We'll have pistols and axe handles. You know, we got to keep it proportionate. The Koreans, the South Koreans are like, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at these motherfuckers. I'm not trying to get beat to death again by these North Korean motherfuckers. Like, no, we're taking arms and we're going to fucking shoot them if they fuck around. We don't care. But the Americans are like, oh no, we need to practice like restraint. You know, there's, you know, listen, but you got to listen to the loopholes, right? There's no guns here on the ground, but above us, fucking what? Holy shit! Let's see what's above them.
That was an option. You see, they told us we can't have guns.
It's gonna be like 30 fucking Hueys
them. They
circling
didn't say anything about above the JSA.
20 Cobras, like what's going on here?
20 Huey utility helicopters, and on those helicopters is an entire company of American infantry, roughly 120 19-year-old athletic alcoholics with machine guns, and as soon as those helicopters touch down, they are ready to get out and start kicking ass. But here's the deal with that, it wouldn't be a
Would that be considered, just out of curiosity, because I don't know, would that be considered like air cav at this point? Or is it, well, I guess, yeah, I guess it would still be air cav, right, at this point? This is the 70s, right? Somebody let me know. I don't really know like how exactly unit designations are in America, especially when you get to like mixed infantry, mixed airborne units like that. I don't really know what you would call them, right? So I'm assuming that's air cav. I just know that from like, you know, Vietnam films and stuff that I've seen, right? I don't know how American ranking and stuff really works. American organization really works. So somebody let me know a little bit more, please. I would appreciate that a lot.
Helicopters touch down, they are ready to get out and start kicking ass. But here's the deal with that. It wouldn't be appropriate to send out a bunch of utility helicopters without a security escort, so they're being accompanied by 7 Cobra attack helicopters. Okay. And just in case that's not enough, above that, there is somewhere between 12 and 20 B-52 straddle fortresses that just got in from Guam that are now doing hot laps around the entire demilitarized zone, each of which is carrying like 70,000 pounds worth of bombs, some of which were allegedly nuclear warheads. In addition to that, there's an entire fighter squadron of American F-4 Phantoms that just got in from
nukes above North Korea. That's fucking crazy.
F-5s, as well as a bunch of American F-111s that just got in from Idaho. In addition to that, there's roughly 10,000 troops on standby just inside the South Korean border, ready to run in if they're needed. And on top of that, there's another 12,000 troops already en route to South Korea, just in case. Oh, and now the USS Midway, a fucking aircraft carrier, and her entire security detail are parked off the North Korean coast. And all of this was done in the span of 3 days. America has probably just conducted the greatest showing of force ever and turned this poplar tree into the largest game of fuck around and find out in human history.
Well, like, and that's what I mean. This is all over a fucking tree. Like, do you see the lengths like humans in general will go to kill each other over fuck all nothing, like shit that does not matter? Like in this case, yes, it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's a tree on the South Korean border. The North Koreans had to go and kill people over that. Why? What was the fucking cause? And now look at the result. Look at the snowball effect of this. Potential nuclear bombers in the fucking air over one singular goddamn tree. One tree, my guy. Like, this is what I mean about the pride of these fucking, like, these communist countries, man. Like, it's actually such a joke. It's jokester behavior, like straight up. It's like small cock syndrome times 1,000. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, you know? Like, grow a pair, you know? Holy shit. Like, I don't even know. I'm gonna get demonetized. I need to stop.
Cut back to the men on the ground. Operation Paul Bunyan has been going on for approximately 5 minutes. The 5 longest minutes in human history of an entire army watching 16 dudes trim a tree and not a single sign of a North Korean anywhere. Which is really weird. Normally they would have been here by now. What is going on? At this point, the American leadership comes to the realization that the North Koreans know exactly what's going on. There's a 0% chance that they don't, and they have decided that their best option is to not show up at all, and then later on they're going to play it off like they had no idea the entire thing actually happened, making it appear as though America's show of force was not that big of a deal. At this point, the American leadership takes a deep breath, and they're like, okay, we have to keep this appropriate. We're the bigger people in this.
Right.
That's a great PR move by the North Koreans. Doesn't matter. We know what we did. We know what we accomplished. And that should be enough.
Right.
I'm just kidding. The American leadership immediately sent a transmission to the North Koreans telling them that they were there for, and I quote, to finish the work left unfinished.
What the fuck?
Now, the North Korean frontline communications just go absolutely nuts. We know this because American intelligence was monitoring their frontline communications.
That's so funny. So they probably ordered like a radio silence, like don't fucking acknowledge them, don't fucking go out there, don't fucking say anything. Like we're gonna keep this shit on ultimate lockdown, right? And then later, you know, oh, whatever, it's just, you know, the Americans fucking around, whatever, they did it, okay, whatever, it's in the past. But now, like, they're forced to respond, right? Because they got issued a fucking message, or, like, sent a message. So it's like, now you have to respond to it to some degree, right? You have to, like, up your readiness, right? So it's kind of like America, like, not poking the bear, because it's more like poking the weasel here, but, like, it's like America, like, fucking, like, walking up behind you and just, like, fucking tapping your shoulder, like, hey, yeah, you like this? Yeah, you see this shit? You know, like, it's fucking pretty funny.
Absolutely
I like it.
Nuts. We know this because American intelligence was monitoring their frontline communications, and one of the intel analysts that was listening said, and I quote, "This move blew their fucking minds." At this point, the North Koreans are absolutely terrified, but they have to do something because they've got way too much pride not to. So, all of the North Korean troops in the immediate area are ordered to go to the Bridge of No Return. Within a matter of minutes, a bunch of trucks pull up on the other side of the Bridge of No Return, and 150 North Korean soldiers get out, and they proceed to stand there and watch silently for what I presume to be the longest 35 minutes of their entire lives as they watch the Americans finish cutting down this tree. And that's pretty much it. The Americans finished trimming this tree. They left a big ass stump there so the North Koreans never ever forgot about it. And then once that stump rotted away, they put a plaque there in honor of the two soldiers.
No shit. That's fucking amazing. So they left it, okay, they left the stump there so that they could never forget about it, and then they fucking put a plaque up in the exact spot. That's awesome. Let me read this. On this spot was located the yellow poplar tree, which was the focal point of the axe murders of two United Nations command officers, Captain Arthur Boniface and First Lieutenant Mark Barrett, who were attacked and killed by North Korean guards while supervising a work party trimming the tree on the 18th of August, 1976. God damn. Wow. That's fucked. Yeah. And I like how they call it like axe murders too, because it's basically what it was. They just came up and fucking killed them, like, for no reason, basically, for trimming a tree. I don't know. No reason, I guess, but literally to us, no reason. Like, could you imagine getting like actually just killed because like you were trimming a tree on your own property, like on your front yard or something like that, and your neighbor didn't like that and came and killed you for it? Radical shit, bro. Like, that's literally what this is.
Never ever forgot about it. And then once that stump rotted away, they put a plaque there in honor of the two soldiers that lost their lives, Lieutenant Mark Barrett and Captain Arthur Boniface. North Korea was then also ordered to pay reparations to their family members. In addition to that, the North Koreans issued a statement saying the entire situation was regrettable, which according to the experts is the closest thing to an apology that you will ever get out of the North Koreans. And then to absolutely everybody's surprise, on August 25th, the North Koreans come back to the negotiating table and they're like, hey, remember that idea you guys have had for like the last 20 years where you wanted to split the JSA in half to separate North and South Korean forces so a bunch of dumb shit didn't happen? Yeah, we think we'd finally like to do that. So yeah, in conclusion, I guess this has been a story about how World War III almost got started by a tree. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com.
Very interesting. I had no idea.
Out.
Wow.
These military operation ones keep getting weirder and weirder. I should probably talk about that time that America accidentally turned a manhole cover into the fastest man-made object of all time because they yeeted it into outer space with a nuclear warhead.
What the fuck? I haven't heard of that either. That's awesome. Let's watch the end here. Is there going to be another piece here? Nah, it looks like that's it. That's fair, that's fair. Well, guys, that was awesome. That was World War III, Operation Paul Bunyan by the Fat Electrician. Again, never heard of it, never knew anything about that. I'm very shocked by the outcome of that. And I'm shocked I never heard of it. Like, such a close instance of war, and just never heard of it, you know? Not knowledgeable about it as a Canadian here at all. let me know. Are you Americans? Like, are you guys educated? Like, events like that have happened, or that your country has been part of events like that before? Because like me in Canada, I had no idea that World War III almost started over a tree. I had no idea that 2 American soldiers were killed brutally by North Korean guards. Like, I can't, you know, I imagine if that happened nowadays under any circumstance, that would be a fucking major problem. So I can't imagine like back then how that would have looked, you know. It just seems brutal to me. But wow, another great video by the Fat Electrician. Really liking these videos. Of course, if you guys want me to check in more, make sure you let me know. Make sure you let me know what you want me to see. Leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe if you are not. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, of course Dagenhart and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And with that, guys, I think this is the end of the video. Without any further delay, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.